everybody. I wanted to spend a little bit of time reviewing the Lexia PowerUp platform. I know that it's been a little bit hectic trying to get your kids into your classes, getting your Google Classroom set up, getting your Zoom room set up, making sure kids are coming to your classes on a regular basis, keeping track of their attendance and their grades. And we're going to add one more thing to that, and that's going to be Lexia PowerUp. I wanted to introduce Lexia PowerUp to you in two pieces. The first piece that we're going to look at is the platform itself, the experience that a student or a teacher would potentially have if they're working in the PowerUp system. The second part we'll look at is going to be the My Lexia platform, which is a little bit different. It's where we actually track the data for our scholars. I think the biggest part of getting Lexia PowerUp or Core 5 for students who are really low level off the ground is just knowing how to get kids to navigate to the platform so that they can get started. Once they get started and once they're all logged in and once they do the placement test, the system is going to prescribe exactly what they need. But I want you all to be comfortable in getting into the system. And so I figured by doing a video and just showing it to you, it was probably the best way to do this. So we're going to look at it from three perspectives. First, we're going to look at the PowerUp literacy platform from the teacher's perspective and then from the student's perspective. And then we're going to look at the My Lexia platform for data. All right, so in order to get into the teacher platform, we're going to go ahead and use the link. The link is long, and I will go ahead and email that off to you in just a little while because it includes our site ID, and that is how it knows where to route teachers and students. So we're going to start out by putting in the link into our address bar and clicking on the go. And you're going to see it's going to pull us up to a platform called the PowerUp Literacy Platform for our school specifically. And you're going to see that there's two choices. One is for students and one is for educators. And they kind of mirror each other, but they're a little bit different. So we're going to go ahead and log in as an educator first. And you'll be able to experience it. And then I'm going to really strongly encourage you to actually go into this educator platform as yourself and just look around. I'm going to show you a couple of things, but really what you would experience as an educator in this particular platform is kind of mirrors what the student is experiencing as a student. Then we're going to look at it again from the student's perspective. We're going to log in as a student. That's a two-step process. So the first process is that we're going to get them hooked up to your classroom. The second step is coming back in here and logging in as a student. Okay? All right, so we're going to click on Educator, and you're going to log in using your email. I created a test student and a test teacher just so we can play around a little bit. So I used my Rockets account to create this teacher. And just use the universal account. And it will ask you, is this you? And so you'll tell it, yes, it's you. And the first thing you're going to see is going to be a really short video as to what students should expect to get from this.
Welcome to Lexia PowerUp Literacy. PowerUp is a new kind of program designed to make your life easier and increase your confidence so that you can be more successful. How do we do all this? By helping you with one thing. Reading. PowerUp makes reading easier by focusing on three things. We teach you tricks to read new words. We call that word study. We show you how to get an upper hand with sentences. That's grammar. We build your understanding, which makes reading more enjoyable. That's comprehension. Improving your reading gives you an advantage. Your brain kind of powers up. We promise to give you the things that you need the most and to do it in the shortest amount of time. After all, you've got other things to do. So good luck.
So the first thing that you might notice is that they used all high school level kids to do that video. So this is a program that was actually built for older middle school and high school and even adult use versus some of those programs that we've used in the past that are very childlike. And that's something that we know about our kids is that they don't want to be coddled by bunnies and avatars and bubbles and things like that. So this program was really built to cater to older children. There are 4 tabs in this particular section. None of it is useful for data or anything like that. what it will do is it will mirror the student's experience so that you can follow along as a teacher. I strongly encourage you to read through each of these sections, click on things, explore it. Read through this first page, the overview section. There's lots of things on here that are really interesting, and they're also very helpful. They'll be useful tools for you. So we're going to go ahead and start out in word study. Okay, so we're just going to click on that tab, and you're going to notice it talks a little bit about what word study is. It really is vocabulary influencing. And the way that Lexia is built is it has a three-tiered system. You have foundational skills, you have intermediate skills, and you have advanced skills. And once the student takes the placement assessment, it will actually place the student within the tiers in each of the three different sections. So you may have a student who is really advanced in word study, but maybe in foundational skills in the comprehension section. And that's okay, because it's going to prescribe the kind of study that the student needs. And it's also going to tell you how much time the student should be spending, how many units a student should finish, and how that student is managing their progress. So that's going to be in the other section. But this section is great because if you click down on one of the scope and sequence items, so you have a student who's working, let's say, on prefixes, suffixes, and base words. If you click on that section, it's going to give you all of the things that a student is doing in order to master those units. And so let's say student is working on the letter pattern, sounds, and meanings. There's all the activities that that student needs to complete in order to pass this activity. So let's go ahead and click on short and long.
The vowel teams EA, IE, and EE all make the long E sound. Closed syllables have a short E. Choose a word and listen to the vowel sound. Categorize the word by whether it is a vowel team with a long E sound or a closed syllable with a short E sound. Do you hear short E or long E? This is the answer.
So because I wasn't able to do it all of them correctly the first time, it's going to make me do it again. It's going to continue to reinforce the skill until it feels that you actually understand that skill.
Awesome! Select the word that matches the definition you hear in a careless way. Carelessly, in an extremely happy way.
So remember, we're in an intermediate system, not in a...
The word is blissfully. Blissfully means in an extremely happy way. The young children splashed blissfully in the pool. Being without energy. You rock! Select the word that matches the definition you hear. Very clean.
Okay. And so that's how the activities go. And as they do the activities, they're receiving points and check marks, and they can track their own progress through this as well. And you'll see that grammar and comprehension are all set up the same way. And again, they're not using things that are very babyfied. And so our students are a little bit more attentive to it. This happens to be grammar. And you can see it goes from something really as simple sentences, like, an article, a noun, and a verb, all the way up to those complex, expanding compound complex sentences. So, it really does span the the universe of grammar, usage, and mechanics. And then comprehension is also really cool because, again, they're not using text that is really babyfied, but they do scaffold it really very nicely. So transformation, this particular one has to do with, we'll go ahead and click on it real fast. Listening to text and then learning the sight words and preparing the vocabulary, understanding individual sentences, and then you read it, the student will read it, and then they can apply sentence comprehension to it. So it walks them through each of the steps, and it will catch anything that they're having a very difficult time with, and it'll actually flag you on the other side in that My Lexia account. And again, they're not using texts that are very, very babyish. They actually use a lot of texts that are contemporary. Let's take a look at that real quick. And again, they're using words that are very adult: transformation, determination, contemplation, even in those most foundational skills. But they're using very adult themes. So they're using text from Malala. They're using text from different short stories. They're using text from contemporary novels. Okay, so this is what you can see so that you can help to support a scholar within the lesson themselves. It's also good if you have a group of scholars because then you can keep track of what they're doing as a group. All right, so that is what the teacher side of this platform looks like. We're going to go ahead and log out, and we're going to try and log in as the test student. Hopefully it will work. So when we have a student who logs in for the first time, we're not going to give them that site ID. Well, we could give them the site ID, and I'll show you why I say that. I'm going to log out as me. Okay. And we're going to log in as student. Oh, you know what? I can't log in as me here because I don't have, I have a user. Oh, I do have a username. It's tbaby. And my, the test student is testbaby. And their password is universal. So am I testbaby? I am now. Okay. And again, I'm going to see that same video that you saw on the educator side.
Welcome to Lexia PowerUp Literacy. PowerUp is a new kind of program designed to make your life easier and increase your confidence so that you can be more successful. How do we do all this? By helping you with one thing: reading. PowerUp makes reading easier by focusing on 3 things. We teach you tricks to read new words. We call that word study. We show you how to get an upper hand with sentences. That's grammar. We build your understanding, which makes reading more enjoyable. That's comprehension. Improving your reading gives you an advantage. Your brain kind of powers up. We promise to give you the things that you need the most and to do it in the shortest amount of time. After all, you've got other things to do. So good luck.
So this
Time to place you in the program. You'll tackle comprehension, word study, and grammar. Do your best work so you start at a level that's right for you.
Okay, so this assessment, when the child logs on, will automatically bring them to the placement test. And that is a blessing. So you're going to have your students work through the placement test. The goal this week, so by like Monday at the latest, and we're talking Thursday, Friday, and Monday, the goal by Monday is to make sure that all of your students have taken the placement test and all of them are placed into the right categories. I don't know how long this takes, probably about 20 minutes to a half an hour, so I don't want to bore you with it. What I will do is take the assessment, and then I will come back and I'll start recording again so that you can see how I placed. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and log out from here for now. I think you're only going to see that video one time as a student, so I promise it won't be terribly boring. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and log out. And if I do log out as a student, it'll actually bring me back to where I stopped. So that's never a problem. All right, so that's the Lexia PowerUp Literacy platform for scholars. So tomorrow, Friday, and Monday, we are going to work on getting all of our scholars through the placement test. I will send you guys out the link so that your students can get in there. You should have all of their login information. So for our regular special ed kids, their login is their first initial and their last name. And their, unless they have more than one, and then there may be a 1 or a 2 behind it. That's important to know. And the password is lowercase universal, straight across the board. Same thing for life skills. Everybody's login is their first initial, last name. For the most part, unless the student was there last year, it may be different. And then their passwords are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So life skills kids 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I tried to keep it really basic for everybody. But I did send you all a roster with all of your students' usernames and all of their passwords. And so you have that information at your fingertips and at your disposal if a student needs it. All right, so now we're going to move over to the other platform. And the other platform is the Lexia platform. So you would just type in www.mylexia.com. And I'm actually going to log out of here because I want you to see it, what it might look like from the teacher's perspective. So it's K-A-T-S at UACHS. And it will look similar to what I see, except it'll only have my classroom. All right, and so this is the dashboard, and if you are logging into your classroom, you have far more than one student, but all the information is the same. And so today you can see that Test Baby logged in, right? She was in there for 2 minutes. She should be in there for 100 minutes for the week right now based on what they know about Test Baby. Okay, so it's going to tell you this student needs to spend about 100 minutes a week in order to make progress in the program. Right now she's done it for 2 minutes. Where is she in the program? She's currently in placement. So right now a lot of your students may say not started or in placement, and that's about right. Although I think some of the, because it's asking us to replace them for the beginning of this school year. So we have data from last year, but it's collecting new data for the beginning of this school year. So it's telling me here that I need 98 minutes, and you'll also see up at the top that there's one student in this class who needs usage. That's that little yellow clock. Okay. Right now I haven't gained any units, but this week it's saying that I should have completed 20. So those units are those different activities along the way. It can be any 20. Students can kind of pick and choose where they want to work. You need to be careful of that because you don't want students to just do word study or just do grammar or just do comprehension. You really want them to spread it out so that they're actually making some progress. If a student is struggling in an area, you can click on here and it'll show you, hey, this kid is really struggling in this, and you should be doing some direct instruction around that, and we can talk about that. And those direct instruction resources are here. So if you have a student who is struggling in an area, you can click on Lexia Lessons. There's an entire library for every unit. There is there's a lesson built in for it, and that's really important to know. So if you have a student, let's say we have a student who's really struggling with consonant blends. I mean, and that's really basic, but we have some students who might be working on that. If you click on consonant blends, it'll actually bring you to the direct instruction piece. The entire lesson plan is here. The entire thing. And there's one for every single thing in Lexia, which is great. So if you need to pull, this is an anchor chart. Here's the practice page. You can make this into a Word doc, into a Google Doc and throw it up in your classroom and assign it to a group of students if you need to. Okay, it's all right here for that student. At the end, we can close it. And for teachers who are teaching Core 5, which is the lower level, if you click on Core 5, you'll see it's the same exact thing. But it's at a lower level, so rhyming, letter matching, it's all pre-K and kindergarten level stuff. Again, it's a little lower level in the way that it's also presented, but it's fine for our students. So you can see, first grade, This goes up to about 3rd or 4th grade, yeah, even a little higher, 5th grade now. Okay. But most of our kids are fine in the PowerUp program. If you do have a student who needs to be switched to Core 5, please let me know. We can make that switch. Okay, so here's all of our word study. Here's the grammar. So let's say we're having a problem with we have a student who's having a little bit of a hard time with prefixes. You click on prefixes, you have a group of students. Say you have 3 or 4 students and their little red flag is showing on this particular topic. If you pull this, you can pull a small group together, pull them into a breakout room, or ask your power to pull them into a breakout room, and they can actually reteach this information. Here it is. They have an anchor chart for it. Not very hard to cut and paste an anchor chart into a Google slide, and then just kind of go through it with them. There's your answer sheets in case you need them. There's the anchor chart for it. Teaching pre, ab, sub, in, add, okay? And then there's the practice. So it'll actually allow you to teach it. Once you have delivered it, you will check it off in that student. So if you have a student who struggles in something, and you'll see this a little later, if you have a student who's struggling in something and you teach it, you can actually mark when you taught it. So when we talk about progress monitoring, that's great data to have if you think about it. When a student is struggling and we catch it and then we reteach it and you put in a date as to when you retaught it, and then you see the student master that area, that means that the progress, that the student is actually learning that thing. So this really provides us a lot of that data. So that's what's going to happen. So you'll have your students and they'll all be listed when they start to struggle in specific areas. And your job would be to go ahead and provide that additional one-on-one or small group instruction to help them develop that skill a little bit better. Nobody has skill builders yet. See where the skill builders are. I just want to remember. So here are all the skill builders. And there are none yet, and they will come up. Here they are. I'm sorry. They're in here. They go underneath, and the skill builders are actually either additional practice, or you can actually use it as a progress monitoring tool. And that's kind of lovely, to be honest with you. So say you have a student and they're finished with those closed syllable words, the A and the I, or I. There's a whole series of skill builders that you can use to prove that they've mastered that particular skill. These are great, and they will align with IEP goals really well. Okay, so what syllable rhymes with shrill? Ill. Excuse me, sorry. Right, and there's a word box up there, and there's 14 different ones. So if you want to be able to judge whether a student is mastering it as an IEP goal, then you can do a couple of them over 3. Oftentimes we judge over 3 consecutive times. Here they are. So you can feel free to use them as that. You can also feel free to use these as practice for scholars as they're working through. And again, there's skill builders for almost every single topic in here, which is really nice. Okay. I'm going to go back to class overview. And then no students have received certifications. Certificates are, let's see. Okay, so there are some, so they're a way to kind of, reaffirm that students are doing great. When they finish everything, they get a little gold trophy, which is really cool. So they get these certificates as they finish levels in each of those areas. Again, in word study, in grammar, in comprehension. So they're collecting these along the way. So it's just really a good positive reinforcement when they get these certificates, when they're seeing their green check marks, because they see green check marks on the other side as well. And then there's some additional information that you can see, that like the drop of the hat right here. You can see your usage, which is really important. There's a tab for reports. you have not auto-placed anybody, we can do that, but we're not going to. But you could technically place a student automatically into the levels. But we really want to get a good read of where our kids are, so we're not going to do that. And then there are other resources in here as well. This is the Core 5 resources. I'm sorry, I did not mean to click on that. But Mr. Hartman, this is a great place, and Mr. Burnick, this is a great place for your kids to go. There's all kinds of resources, so please spend some time looking through those resources as well. More resources, and here are the resources for people that are doing the PowerUp. And you'll see that it includes educator resources. There's Learning Now videos, and then there's also the instructional materials are all here as well. So that is what is in this particular part of the program. So like I said, I'll go ahead and take that placement test. I will test like one of our kids might test, so we can actually look at what the placement looks like. Yeah, and if you have any additional questions in the meantime, please call me or shoot me an email or a text, and I will return it to you. If you want to go through this one more time, that's fine too. We can do that. Please watch the video, rewatch it, ask me questions, and we will get through this together, right? We're all in it together. So thank you for watching. I'm sorry that I ran a little long. I hope that you find this particular video helpful in moving your kids through the Lexia program for the next couple of days. Thanks, guys.